Now, we've got to move on. Depressing news from Afghanistan, brothers and sisters. The British government are concerned that with mounting casualties, public support for our pointless war in a country last held by Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan is dropping. Apparently the British aren't keen seeing their teenagers come home maimed or in body bags. But what the British public need to understand is that by dropping bombs on civilians in Afghanistan, we are preventing terrorism from happening on the streets of London. Now, sure, Afghanistan is a country warped by US policy that funded the very Islamist fundamentalists in the 1980s who ended up ripping the country asunder and, ironically, planted the seeds of Al-Qaeda. Sure, Afghanistan is a country that the CIA fostered heroin production in to pay for a multitude of dirty wars. Sure, Afghanistan is now overrun by Blackwater mercenaries who butcher without judicial oversight and who expand the dangerous destruction of national sovereignty while making billions in war money. Yes, those things are true. But if we in the West don't continue to bomb civilians for freedom and democracy, how else are we going to eradicate terrorism? You think it's going to be buying the opium crop for industrial morphine production, or fresh water programs, or rebuilding infrastructure that will eradicate the righteous grievance used to enlist radicals? That's tree hugger talk. The only way to win in Afghanistan is to kill everyone. Only then will we prove how freedom and democracy triumphs against evil. Sometimes you have to bomb the country to save the country. Oh, and wasn't it wonderful to have our very own Prime Minister in the weekend disgracefully use the recent death of a New Zealander in Indonesia to justify sending more special forces to this pointless and disgusting war? Enough of the news. Let's hand out this week's Wanko of the Week. This week's Wanko of the Week, brothers and sisters, is the news that Watercare, the largest water monopoly in the country, is secretly attempting to force all Auckland councils to sign a confidentiality agreement to hide any transfer of water assets to Watercare. First Acton National rammed through the annexation of Auckland under a misuse of urgency, then appoint 5 of Rodney's unelected mates to run it. Quorum is only 2 on the board that now runs all of Auckland. 1 council to rule them all, 1 council to find them, 1 council to bring them all and the ducks bind them. And the chair of Rodney's unelected board just happens to be Mark Ford, the head of Watercare, who are now trying to smother any public scrutiny on them seizing the rest of Auckland's water resources. In other countries, a conflict of interest like this would be lead news. But in New Zealand, we had overhyped bread stories mishandled by the Food Safety Minister and U-turned by the Prime Minister to contend with, all to reduce possible risk to prostate cancer by turning over 200 children to deformities. The irony is that many claim this was an example of the nanny state, when it will actually be the nanny state who will have to look after those deformed children. Finally this week, whānau, the Barack Obama People's Hero of the Week Award. This week, it goes to Barack Obama, who has flown in the face of justice and reason by continuing with George W. Bush's Guantanamo Bay judicial farce. Whānau, Guantanamo Bay detainees held a protest this week. A protest! How outrageous! America has renditioned them, left them in a legal black hole, tortured confessions out of them, set up military tribunals to get around the legal issues of accepting confessions under torture, and it's the detainees who are protesting. Hey, Mohammed! The US has overturned every rule of fair justice to kidnap and torture you. They've sacrificed all pretense of moral high ground to send you to your deaths in front of a non-appeal military kangaroo court. So the least you could do is try and be a bit more grateful as they execute you. The nerve of some people. That's it for the show, whānau. Don't forget, the conversation continues online at tumeki.blogspot.com. Good night, New Zealand. You stay classy out here, huh? Righto.